Hey everyone, it's Chrissy. Today I'm going to answer a frequently asked question that I get pretty often from clients and people that I'm helping with their websites. And that is, why isn't my stuff showing up on Google or Bing, or why isn't it showing up anywhere? And it's actually a really simple answer. You need to submit your sitemap to Google and Bing to get your content to show up on those sites. So I'm going to show you, let me switch over to my screen so you can see this. So I'm going to show you, I'm in the Bing Webmaster Tools right now, but let me go back a few steps. So I'm assuming that you're watching this video because you have a WordPress website. And in your WordPress website, you either have Rank Math or Yoast SEO or some other plugin installed to handle your search engine optimization. When I work with clients, I usually have them set up one of those plugins to help them with SEO. WordPress does some SEO out of the box, but you really need to install one of these plugins to really get it to take it to the next level. So I'm going to show you how to set up the sitemap in both Rank Math and Yoast. So first up is Rank Math. I'm in the Rank Math dashboard, and you can see here, I'm going to go to the sitemap settings. So you want to go into the sitemap settings and make sure that only the stuff that you want to appear in the sitemap is set up to appear in the sitemap. So I'm in the general settings right now. If you want to have your images show up there, you just turn that on. I think it's good to have the images show up there. What I'm going to do now, it shows on the left side all of these post types that are in this particular website. There's tons of them. And you don't necessarily want all of them to show up. Now, you do want to have your posts to show up. So I have that included in the sitemap, and my pages. So I want to include that in sitemap. But I don't necessarily want my attachments to show up in the sitemap, so that's turned off. In this case, I don't want my forums. I've got forums on this website or topics. I don't want the replies to show up. I do want to have my landing pages show up, so I'm going to turn that on. Products, I'm going to include those in the sitemap. Sales pages, I'll include those. I don't want the thank you or opt-in. Well, actually, I do want the opt-in, but I don't want the thank you pages. Those don't need to appear. I am going to turn my opt-in pages. Those are my funnel opt-ins for my website, but I don't want the confirmation pages to show up. And for right now, I do want my courses to show up, any of the courses that are public, so people can see those when they search for those things. But I don't want individual lessons or topics or quizzes, challenge example, all that stuff. So I do want events to show up. So I've got that turned on. But I don't want most of these other things. Like you don't want your checkout to show up or your card or anything like that. So the other thing you want to turn off is your taxonomies. Taxonomies are great. They're really helpful to find your way through the content on your website. But typically when like the categories taxonomy shows up, if I include that in the sitemap, it's going to show up as very thin content. So it's a good idea to turn that off in the sitemap. And again, this is for Rank Math. So I would go through and check all of the taxonomies. So like categories, tags. I believe I have these all turned off, but I'm just going to double check. Yeah, I'm not going to go through it. And then you're going to save your changes. Now you can check to see what's actually showing up in the sitemap by going to look at the sitemap. And if I go to general, you can see for Rank Math, it gives me the URL. So if I click on that link, it's going to take me to gyboacademy.com/sitemap_index.html or .xml. And I can see that the sitemap has 6 sitemaps included in it, and it's only going to include the pages, the products, the landing sitemap. It doesn't include any posts because there aren't any posts yet, but once I have some posts, it'll show up in there. And then my opt-ins, my courses, and my events. So it's only showing the things that I wanted to show. All right, so that's good. So that's Rank Math. Now I'm going to do the same thing for Yoast. So if you're using Yoast for your SEO instead of Rank Math, you would go into the Yoast dashboard. So you would go into the search appearance. So I'm going to click on search appearance. And let me see what this shows. It's going to take a minute to load. And then you're going to click on content types, and you're going to turn off or on anything that you want to show or not show. So you can see here, I've got posts turned on, and I'm going to scroll down. I want to have pages on. Do I want downloads? Yeah, I want downloads turned on. That's software that we sell on the website. Documentation, I want that turned on. Projects I want turned on. I think for all of these, I want them to show up. I'm going to turn off galleries. Actually, it's already off. But if I was going to turn it off, I could turn it off. But you can see here, I can turn it on or off. But galleries is already turned off. So if I made any changes to that, I would click on Save Changes, and that's going to update my sitemap. Then you also want to go under Media. And if you want to redirect attachment URLs to the attachment itself, I would click yes for this. And then go to taxonomies. And I'm going to turn off, right now you can see categories turned on. I'm going to turn that off. Let me turn that off. And tags, I'm going to turn that off. Formats is already off. I think the rest of them, I'm going to turn these all off. I'm going to turn these taxonomies off. And again, the reason that you're going to want to turn these off is because the archive pages are going to be what's considered thin by the search engines. So they're not going to like these category archives. So I'm just going to turn all these off. Most of the rest of them should be turned off. Let me just double check. Let me turn that off. Let me turn off media folders and turn those off. Feature types, turn that off. Clients, turn that off as well. And project tags, do not use. All right, so I'm going to save changes. And I'm going to go to archives. And I'm probably going to turn off the author archives as well. Because again, that's going to be thin. I'll turn off the date archives. And then I'm going to save changes. Now, it might be in here. I'm not sure, but the Yoast sitemap link is not listed in the settings or anything, but it's the same as it is for rank math. It's going to be the URL of your website /sitemap_index.xml, sitemap_index.xml. So let me refresh this. And you can see now my sitemap only shows these sections. So this is the only thing that's going to show up. If you wanted to look at the individual sitemaps, you can look, for example, here's the post sitemap, and that's going to list all of my blog posts. I've got lots of them. I've got my page sitemap. That's going to list all my pages. Got a few of those. And you can go into the individual pages and make it so that certain pages aren't indexed within the individual pages. I'm not going to get into that, but that's something that you can do. Now, I'm going to copy the URL for my sitemap. So I'm going to copy this URL here, and then I'm going to go into the Google Search Console. Now, this next step assumes that you've already set up Google Search Console for your website. I usually recommend installing the Google Site Kit on your website when you launch it. It's a WordPress plugin. It's free, easy to install. You just connect it with your Google account. You do need a Google account for it. And it automatically sets up a property in Google Search Console for you when you do that. If you haven't set it up already, you can go to search.google.com/search-console. And that's going to take you to this Google Search Console page. And then you can add by URL prefix or domain. So you might need to set that up. I can make another video for that. Once you've done that, once the site is set up, you can go to this menu here and you can find the property. So if I want to go into GYBO Academy, you can see there is the search results. And this is a brand new site, so it doesn't have a whole lot in there. And then you can see over on the left side here, it says sitemaps. So you would enter that sitemap. What is it? Sitemap_index.xml. And then click on submit. And it's going to take a minute. It's going to submit the sitemap. There we go. And so now Google is going to index the website. It's going to take a little while, but when I come back, I should see more information and I should start to see the pages on this particular website start to show up in the search engine results. Now, I also recommend after you set up the Google Search Console to also set up the Bing Webmaster Tools. It's bing.com/webmasters. You can set that up and you can see here that once you get that set up, there is also a way to submit your sitemap there. So you can see here, this is for the pongos.com website. So I'm going to copy the URL for that. And I'm going to click on Submit Sitemap. I'm going to enter the URL for the sitemap and click Submit. It's already been submitted. It actually got it from when you set up Bing Webmaster Tools, it prompts you to import your Google Search Console. So if you set it up that way, I usually say set up Google Search Console first and then Bing Webmaster Tools second. But then you can submit the search engine, the sitemap to Bing Webmaster Tools as well. All right. So that's really all you've got to do. It will take a little while. You're asking it to search your site. You're asking it to index your site. It's going to take a few minutes, days, hours to actually index it. But then your site should start to show up in the search engine results. If you have major changes to your sitemap, you should resubmit it and let the Search Console or Bing Webmaster Tools re-index your website. So I hope you found this useful. Leave comments, and if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them. Thanks, everybody.